I'm gonna switch that to no names whatsoever. I'm Jan Gustafsson. I'm joined by Fiona Steil-Antoni. Fiona, who's your favorite?
Well, I decided to stick with during our break. I gave some thought to the predictions show we did, and I'm fairly certain I went with Kramnik, with the thinking that he didn't have the pressure of the candidates tournament, no preparation to hide, no pressure, no nothing. So I gone with Kramnik at the time, and I decided I will stick with that.
Fair enough. So let's explain the rules. Here we see the current standings. It's 5 more games, and every win is worth 1 point, as we're used to it. They're going to play 5 blitz games with a time control of 4 minutes plus 2 seconds, and whoever amasses the most points shall win the overall event. And we see only Nakamura, Anand, and Kramnik have a shot at it. I think, yeah, you gotta go with Nakamura now with 5 blitz games to go. But there are still 3 people in the running. Aronian, Shirov, and Giri are out of it.
And there you see on the screen, this is going to be a big game already to start. Anish Giri, who had a less than subpar showing in the so-called new classical event in Zurich. He has the white pieces against Hikaru. Yeah, I think this is an interesting game because Anish will be very eager not to lose, and Hikaru will be very eager to start the Blitz tournament off with a victory against an out-of-form Anish Giri.
Sounds like a conflict of interest. Anish has not taken off his jacket, which I'm surprised by. Normally for Blitz games, the guys like to play only in a shirt, not in a jacket. But at least he doesn't wear a tie.
Tell me, Jan, what's the time control?
4 minutes plus 2 seconds per move.
That is that the standard or is 3 plus 2 the new standard? What's the...
No, 3 plus 2 is the official Blitz time control at the FIDE events now, but for this one they've decided to go with 4 plus 2 to give the players some more thinking time.
And us some more talking time.
Yeah, it's not going to be that much though. These things go much faster than one would expect.
I'm very excited. I've never done, I mentioned this earlier, never done commentary on Blitz before, so I'm quite curious to see how that's going to go. And meanwhile, you can see Anish and Hikaru joking around there, seeming fairly relaxed.
Yeah, it's a Blitz event. There is stuff at stakes, I'm sure. I'm actually not sure, but I guess there is money at stakes too. I'm not sure if the players only get an appearance fee or if there's prizes in Zurich. But it's not the tension of a classical game. You do your best, you blitz out your moves and see what happens.
Yeah. What are the other pairings?
We
Kramnik. Yep.
have Kramnik against Shirov, Kramnik with the white pieces, and we have Aronian against Vishy Anand. So none of the 3 contenders for the top prize face each other.
Yep.
They're all gonna look to score a full point here to stay in the race.
In case you're just joining us now and you missed the last round of the so-called classical event, Aronian had a bit of a disaster today. He had the white pieces earlier against Nakamura and things didn't go to plan at all there.
No, in general, Aronian, Giri and Shirov will be slightly disappointed with their overall score so far. Even though Shirov was a big underdog and I thought he had an okay showing in the tournament, but he lost 2 games and made 3 draws, which for Mr. Fire on board, of course, he won't be happy, but I thought he did alright also in the opening blitz.
What about the Blitz? Do you think we will see different openings than we did in the main tournament?
Nah, I mean, like, guys can play anything, but I don't think they're gonna get too creative. They're just gonna play where they feel confident. So since we have this on camera, let's start with sticking to the Giri Nakamura game and switch to others should there be excitement. In this opening we've seen plenty. We've seen Giri use it with black against Kramnik in this event, d4, c6. All of this is well established by now. c6 direct against c4. And Giri repeating the same line that Kramnik played against him earlier in the event. Bishop f5 is the move Giri chose. And c4, a5 was the course of that game. Let's see if Nakamura repeats it or if he has his own ideas. So far he seems to trust Anish in the opening, which you can do. He's one of the best prepared guys in the business. Now Nakamura starts with knight bd7, not with a5 like Anish did, but also perfectly natural. One drawback of putting this knight on d7 is that c takes d5 becomes a move, because after c takes d5 this knight can no longer go here.
Let's make some quick predictions.
For this round, I think Nakamura is going to win, Kramnik's going to win, and Aronian's going to win against Vichy.
Okay, I'm gonna say Anish is going to be a draw, Kramnik will win, and Aronian Anand will be 0-1.
We'll see. Aronian against Vichy follows the course of Aronian's classical game against Alexander Grishuk from the Norway chess, so Aronian still some experience in his position, even though that was with colors reversed. And Kramnik against Shirov. Kramnik probably saw something that he liked in the opening that Anish played against Shirov and thought, okay, Shirov's a little shaky there. Didn't play c4 like Anish castled first. And already got the two bishops and is trying to chip away at the black center. In the Giri game, knight takes c3, bishop takes c3. So far, yeah, it's the typical thing you get for this opening. Symmetrical structure where white tries to make something happen on the queen side. He's probably going to go bishop f1, now knight d2. Hope for good things to happen, but black is very, very solid due to the symmetry of the structure. There he goes, plays bishop f1. He's a good player, Giri. He can spot most of the moves, I predict. Not all of them, but unexpected. Queen f6. Threatening checkmate, knight d2. Well, not really checkmate, bishop f5. And yeah, nothing really has happened. You probably go bishop a5 to provoke b6. But no, Giri goes back to g2, keeping his king safe, targeting the d5 pawn. And Hikaru has a slightly awkward decision, because normally you don't want to go e6 here, because sometimes it can leave this bishop a little vulnerable to stuff like f3, e4. I'm not sure if it's dramatic here, and might very well be a good move, but it's nothing you can play instantly. Therefore, it's taking a bit of time.
So how do you deal with that? How do you defend the pawn?
Well, I think you should probably go e6 anyway, but he has played knight to b8 instead, looking for the best square for the knight on c6. Problem is it undevelops some pieces, and Giri uses the moment to strike in the center, which looks slightly dangerous for Hikaru now. If he takes, then knight takes e4, d5 is looming, and on this long diagonal bad things could happen. So this seems like it's gone well for Anish, and knight b8 was a bit provocative.
Should we go to the camera, go to Kramnik Shirov? Looks quite interesting.
All right. Shirov sacrificed a pawn for active play. Here with e4, d takes e, knight to e5. The rook had to go back to c1. This knight is a bit out of play. Interesting stuff by Shirov. Not sure how he wants to follow it up though. Maybe d3. Even after d3, white could probably just go here. No, Shirov is, yes, staying true to his style and forcing the issue. But it could backfire. d3 is on the board. Sharp stuff.
And then the last game we haven't looked at, Aronian Anand.
Trying to count the pawns. It's still equal pawns. That means white has to be better. a5, b5, bishop f8, takes, knight to a6. A little awkward defending that square. But the knight could jump into c5 as well. I think white is better because he has this majority in the center and the black queenside pawns aren't really going anywhere. So I like Levon's chances. I believe I like Shirov's chances, even though I don't see a move for him. So one has to wait for a move to come there. Kramnik's played bishop g2. And I'll go back to Giri against Nakamura. Knight d2, bishop f5. We've seen all that. Nakamura rightly decided not to open the position with bishop e6. But that allows bishop to a5, and he had to give the exchange with knight c6. Which means he's pretty much lost. Let's see, that will be a bit of an upset if Giri manages to defeat the favorite here in the first Blitz game. And I think he is winning.
So what happened there if we just go back? How did he lose the exchange?
Well, bishop a5 was very unpleasant to meet. He can't go rook d7 because of rook c8. Can't go rook d6 because of e5. And you could think about b6, but then I believe bad things will happen on this long diagonal. For example, takes, rook c8 check, and this is resigns because you can never move these pieces.
Yep.
So he had to go knight c6, but now it's a matter of technique, as they say. Hikaru, of course, trying to mix it, but it should just be lost.
Yep.
Rook f1, gf4 on the board. Anish showing some life here. Gf, Hikaru was hoping for rook takes f4, so he has tricks with bishop h6 later, but didn't happen. Gf, bishop h6, and now yeah, either queen g3 or the move Giri played, rook f3, intending rook f1 and then rook g3. It's a pretty hopeless position for Nakamura.
I agree. I don't think there are too many tricks in this position Anish can fall for, and I can't see Anish failing to convert this.
No, he's gonna win. Let's see what else we got going.
The Anish haters won't be happy.
Nah, I think in Blitz they're okay with him winning occasionally. But Hikaru's fans will be disappointed because any loss here is significant with his two rivals lurking nearby. He's tied with Vishy on points before this game, 1 point ahead of Kramnik. So if he loses, that race is very much wide open for Vladimir Kramnik. I'm trying to estimate who's better and why here, but I believe Kramnik has to be in good shape with his extra pawn. With the queens off the board, there's not that much activity anymore for Alexei Shirov, so things are looking good for Kramnik. And Vishy's in trouble positionally. Doesn't mean that much. There's still all the pieces on the board are only down to 16 seconds, while Vishy still has a bit of time, but I don't like his position.
It's a big, 2 seconds isn't much per move, so being down to 10 seconds against a minute and a half is a big deal, is it not?
I don't know, I haven't played much with increment. I think it's a matter of practice. You see guys who can make just 1,000 moves living on that increment, but if you're not used to it, you can panic very easily.
Well, we were discussing earlier about Deserted Island, and we thought Levin would be good company because he's very well read. He knows a lot of things, but how much do you think he practices Blitz games?
I don't know, but most top players love playing Blitz, and Levon, yeah, he's a former World Blitz champion, so he's no stranger to it. He won it with a 3 minutes plus 2 seconds control, I believe. And I wouldn't be surprised if he plays a lot of Blitz during his training camps. Looks like Vishy outplayed him a bit though over the last couple of moves. Got his queen to d3, blocking this backwards pawn. Now this is a weakness. The other rook will come to d8, targeting d2. Yeah, Vishy's back.
I'm struggling. I'm just trying to see if we're in sync with the video or if the board or the video is ahead of us, but I think we're pretty much in sync.
Yeah, it's reasonably close. Let's see if Anish managed to convert. Not yet. Nakamura is doing what he's doing. He's being tough. Even in a lost position, he's got the square for his pieces you can't take because of knight takes. So, no, this has not been progress for Anish since we've last seen it at the very least. Looks like Levon is throwing some pieces around there, not a lot of time left for him. And I'm no longer so sure that Anish will manage to convert this. Rook g1. If bishop h4, he still has rook h3. But this got a lot tougher. Bishop takes g4, knight f5 also in the air.
We have a result in the Anand game, I believe.
Yeah, Vishy won.
Okay.
Checkmate. King d1, queen f1 would end the game. Levon continues to struggle a little bit.
That's 1-0 to me in the predictions.
Very good.
Okay, so I still believe... What's going on? It seems like Anish has made life more complicated.
Yeah, it's a mess now. I'm no longer sure.
Yeah, no longer sure is even...
Rook h4, knight g2, king g2, for example. There's queen takes h4.
Yeah.
And Anish is struggling to stick around. I think he resigned.
Wow.
That's pretty shocking and pretty bad from a totally winning position. Somewhere around here with just an exchange up and a better position to get crushed like that. He won't be happy.
And we also had a result in Kramnik. Kramnik won his game as well.
Yeah, so that
So the
means...
3 leaders all won their game.
That's right. And that means the status quo is unchanged. This is the standings before the round, but now Nakamura has 8, Vishy has 8, and Kramnik has 7. So the race is going to continue.
An unbelievable escape by Nakamura, though. If we go back to that position you were just showing, and we see the players, I'm really impressed. We can still see Anish standing there joking around. Surely inside of him it will look different, but
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
kudos
he's
to
mad
him.
at himself.
Yeah.
I don't know, all these moves on the queen side look a little random. A3, b4, and Nakamura sees his chance to open things up. ef6, that's a horrible move to make. But maybe it's no longer so easy. H3, at least go queen e5, get rid of the queens if you're worried. Yeah, he lost this almost without a fight, which really shouldn't happen. I'm not quite sure what happened in the Vichy game, but Levon's time trouble probably came back to haunt him. This position was already unpleasant. Now bishop takes e3, I guess is what he missed. Then if d takes e3, just rook c3. And after queen d5 is in the game, rook takes c3 also works. Some nice tactics here by Vichy. Because queen d3, there's an intermediate check, and now black takes with a winning rook endgame. Or at least a good rook endgame, who knows if it's winning. But it looks very good. And instead Levon went rook c7, but that allowed the checkmate.
Impressive stuff by Vichy. I mean, taking advantage of maybe poor time management, but still.
Still some life
Yeah.
in old Vichy.
I'm just getting used to this. It really is going very fast. How long are the breaks between the games?
Not very long. We can keep stalking the camera, but it shouldn't be more than 1-2 minutes to just reset the clocks, set up the live PGNs, which we also get used to get our games. But I would expect things to continue reasonably soon.
So next round we have Aronian against Kramnik, Anand against Giri, and Nakamura against Shiro. Funnily again, no clashes. I guess the pairings are made that way, right?
I'm not sure. I think they play the same pairings as in the rapid event with colors reversed. But I'm not 100% sure.
Seems a funny coincidence that in the first 2 rounds, none of the leaders.
Yeah, big showdown coming in the last 3 games, but of course every point is worth 1 point. That's why it's called a point, and therefore every game matters the same. But we will have some direct encounters, probably in the last round, that could decide the outcome. Like say Shirov licking his wounds after he lost that game to Kramnik. Now he's facing arguably the best blitzer in the field in Hikaru Nakamura with the black pieces.
Yeah.
Can't be too much fun.
Who do you think of these guys, the top 3 contenders, so Kramnik, Anand and Nakamura? Who do you think deals best with pressure out of the 3 of them?
Hard to say. I think Nakamura is pretty stable. As long as there's no Carlsen around, Carlsen must be in his head a little bit. But if there's no Magnus, I don't think he's afraid of anybody, and he's very calm. Well, maybe not calm, but very collected and always willing to fight back. Kramnik, the new relaxed Kramnik, also doesn't get all that nervous. Maybe he would get more nervous in a candidates tournament or a world championship match, but here in Zurich I don't think he's gonna steam. Well, for Vichy, if things don't go well, he tends to have a bad event, but if things go well, like they do here, he can also keep his level, and he's gonna be a force to be reckoned with if he's in a good mood.
Yeah.
That's how he spent his childhood, playing Blitz in the Tal Chess Club in Chennai, or Madras as it was called then. Winner stays, so he could not afford to lose a game, or he would have to wait for a couple hours. So Vichy is no stranger to Blitz games.
And I just moved, I had a look, so the last round is going to be Kramnik against Anand and Hikaru against Aronian.
Yeah, it's the same pairings
At the same as
in the Rapid.
Okay, yeah. Makes sense. So who do we have on camera? Interesting that Shirov turns up so early.
Maybe I was wrong, and they do take longer breaks this time around. In the opening blitz they didn't. Maybe no one told poor Shirov, and they're going to make him sit there for a couple hours while Hikaru's taking a nap, getting some sushi delivered to his room. Shirov sitting there starving. That is unlikely. I believe the players should show up any minute. Dutch defender is getting nervous. Where are the moves? The moves are coming once the games are starting. No players, no moves.
Can you Do you know anything about this? Why did the name address change to Chennai?
No, no clue. I always get very confused with all these name changes. This country, Myanmar, I can never figure out if it's called Myanmar or Burma or Burma at the moment.
And there we can see Anish and Hikaru still discussing probably their previous game.
Yeah, that was... Yeah, Anish, he didn't grow up playing Blitz. He grew up studying opening theory, which helps a lot too, but he doesn't have the reflexes. He got a winning position against Nakamura, but didn't manage to finish that off. We're being told games start every 15 minutes, so 7 till 8 minute break, but it looks like the players are back. Probably that was an exceptionally fast first round.
We'll have to come up with some topics for the breaks. We've discussed deserted island, desert island.
Yeah,
Desert
I got
island.
nothing.
There was every time I do commentary with you, there's always an NBA question popping up in the chat at some point.
It's not even games, it's the All-Star weekend.
Yeah, that was the question. I wouldn't know.
I did follow it closely, which is why I'm still half asleep. They started like 2 a.m. until 5 a.m. So it was tough to follow, but I hung in there. There we get Anish and Vishy. Anish looks a bit like a miniature version of Vishy sometimes in some perspectives.
It's interesting the point you made about the jacket. I think Anish was the only player who didn't take off his jacket.
Yeah, no, it's very unusual behavior for a Blitz tournament. You don't wear jackets unless you're me and you're doing banter Blitz, when you wear a jacket and a tie and blunder all your pieces. As Anish, he's also wearing the strange wristband he's always wearing.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
what
was just looking at that too. I think that when I play Blitz, which isn't very often, but if I do happen to wear a bracelet or something, I would take it off.
Yeah, sometimes you feel weird though if you're used to wearing a watch and then you take it off. You feel strange. So he's probably used to that thing. What did it say on it? HD?
On the wristband.
Yeah, it looked like there were some letters on it. Probably not HD.
Never really paid that close attention. So, predictions, Jan.
Aronian Kramnik 0-1, Anand Giri 1-0, Nakamura Shirov 1-0.
You're just going to stick with the favorites.
Gotta play the percentages. We're being educated on Chennai. It was called as Chennapatnam before name was changed to Madras. Now it's back to real name. We're being told Kramnik's gonna crush Naka, but they're not playing just yet. There we see Dr. Levon arriving fashionably late. I'm wondering who the people in the first row are, but I guess it's the organizers. They're all dressed up.
Was
it's
the
not chess
third
celebrities.
one from the left Ullman, or did I
No, I don't
just make
think
that
I
up?
saw him. There's Levon getting his water.
Kramnik getting his?
Kramnik doesn't look like water. It's probably beer. Or apple juice, but I'm going with beer.
Are they allowed to? I mean, they wouldn't because of common sense and because of etiquette, but would someone say something if they turned up at the board with a beer?
No, I don't think so. I'm not sure if there's rules for it, for official FIDE events or whatever.
I think there are. I think I was once at a tournament where someone was kicked out of the playing hall because chess is officially a sport, at least in some countries. Anyway, off we go.
Yeah, Najdorf in Anand against Giri. Before we get into the subtleties of the G3 Najdorf, can I point out that Hikaru Nakamura has played one of his favorites in Blitz, the move 1b3. Shirov chooses the most trendy reply against it. All of this is still theory. Castles, knight g3. Now black normally goes a6, with rook a8 also being a move. After a6, white tends to take dc, and we get this pawn structure we normally get from e4 openings, but you can even get it by going 1b3. White typically tries to prepare f4 later on, after developing his pieces.
Random question. Karyakin played 1b3 in one of his Vaikanze games, right?
Yeah, against Giri.
And I read this article by Colin, who was coming up with a few proposals of why was he trying to make people believe he would play it in the candidates, or just try to make them think he would, or was he actually training it? Do you think there's any chance we will see a game starting with 1b3 in the candidates tournament?
It's unlikely, so no, I don't think so, but it's not a bad move. It's a move that people use against theoreticians like Giri. It's been used against me in the past as well to get them out of book, but the problem is b3 has its own theory nowadays, so you don't really surprise anybody with it. As we see here, Shirov blitzing out the main line, quote-unquote, as well. But no, I think it's unlikely we're going to see it in the candidates. Anand against Giri is night of theory discussion. All of this is known stuff following the game. Carlsen against Grishuk from Norway Chess. A4 takes. Looks like Giri has studied this at home. Here the point is queen d5, which you want to play. Doesn't work because of the knight fork. And after e takes d5, this pawn structure is always a little dangerous for white long term, because black could start a kingside attack. So it's going to be a race who's faster. Giri starts by trying to exchange off his dark squared bishop, which is not doing all that much on e7. And also, as we know, Giri doesn't mind exchanges, especially if they help his position. Bishop g5, queen g5. I believe Giri is alright, as he tends to be outside of the opening. But the real battle is just beginning.
Aronian Kramnik.
Yeah, quiet move here, b3, d4, of course, transposing to the Catalan, where both guys are big experts. b3, main line is c5, but Kramnik decides to play it a bit more quietly. Now, after cd5 is always a big decision. If you want to go ed5, allow a structure like this, which Kramnik quite likes, or if you want to go knight takes d5, keeping the structure more fluid, it's an attempt to equalize after d4, c5. But white is always slightly better here because his bishops are slightly better placed than the enemy bishops. Still, nothing much happening, almost symmetrical position. Takes here. Queen a8 is the textbook way to arrange your pieces. Defending on this diagonal and preparing rook c8. So far, very solid game. Should end in a draw. Vishy is trying to get to the a6 pawn, but Giri's counterplay is coming. Vishy just played rook b1 to prepare b4, which wouldn't threaten anything yet, however, because this is pinned. So Giri could and should think about stuff like f5 followed by f4, just trying to open up the kingside. Let's see if he does it.
To me, at first sight, this looks really nice for white, though. Is this just me imagining things, or is white actually better here?
I don't know. I quite like black's position, but it's going to come down to a race if Vishy can generate threats on the queen side before he runs into trouble at the king side. But I believe black is fine.
Also, another question. What about the pawn on d5? Why can't I take that?
You maybe can, but I don't think you want to, even if there's no tactical drawback after b4 that I'm not sure about. But in general, this pawn restricts white's pieces more than it helps. So I think, yeah, you should ignore it, even if you could have taken it.
Rook b4.
He's going to rook b4. Yeah, same idea, to stop b4 and support the e4 pawn. It's still more of a Giri move. He's switching to defense on the queen side instead of going for counterattack on the king side, which might be sound, but I have a feeling he should have gone after the white king, because now if white stabilizes with the rook so far away, bishop c4, c3, b4, then he will indeed be worse. Sometimes Anish does that, or I might be wrong, but I have the feeling, especially with limited time control where he can't calculate everything, that he plays a little too passively in the rapid. He exchanged a lot of pieces off against Nakamura in a position where he could more or less have won with a direct attack. I'm not sure. It might just be bad form, but I have the feeling things haven't been going so well here when it comes to when to fight for the initiative. And now he's back on the defense. I mean, he might still be okay, but he's really just trying to protect everything. His pawn is still on f7. He hasn't gone for any counterplay. And Vishy might very well punish him for that. Vishy's sacrificed the exchange here. Interesting decision. Rook c5, dc5 to get past pawns. Get a nice square for the bishop here. And yeah, this won't be easy to hold. I believe it's very good compensation. or an advantage for white. Rook d6, Vishy's contemplating queen d4, but decides against it. Rook e1, and now Giri has stabilized, at least for now. Rook d8, queen e3 back. Rook e8 is just defending whatever there is to defend, and it's not so obvious how white can make progress. Maybe you would like to go b4, bishop b3, c4, but I'm not sure he's in time. a5 directed against b4, once again Anish on the defense, but queen c5 targets this pawn, and yeah, he goes e3, trying to finally create some counterplay. I'm not sure how this endgame is. Takes, and rook a1. And yeah, that's going to happen, it looks like. Rook a1 on the board, probably rook c3, looking for some targets in the white position as well. The problem is, that's why he's hesitating. He wanted to go rook c3, rook a5, rook c2, but now he's spotted rook a8 check, followed by bishop d3 check, picking up the rook. So things aren't that simple.
So is this maybe just very good for white?
I'm not sure, because black opens some files for his rooks and he is gaining some activity. Another move... yeah, I guess you have to take a timeout and play something like g6. Rook takes a5, and here one would have to find a way to generate counterplay, maybe rook f6. He's gone rook f6 immediately. Yeah, that might be better. Rook e1 check, king g2, rook d1, trying to get his rooks to the second rank. I have a feeling black has enough counterplay, probably not for a win, but for a perpetual, but could be wrong. It's going to be a matter of tempi. Bishop d3 maybe to threaten checkmate. We'll see what Vishy comes up with.
Okay, shall we very quickly go back to another game, or do you want to stick with this one?
Yeah, we'll change the map. Vishy's played g4, and looks like Anish is going to go g5 to fix those pawns.
I'm spotting triple isolated pawns for Shirov.
That's the Irish pawn center.
Yep.
It's normally not a good thing to have. Oof, I can't even count the material. Shirov is a pawn up, but yeah.
Two pawns up one way.
Ah, yeah, that's right. No, it's one, but those are gonna drop. Still, he should have enough counterplay not to lose the game. Rook f8 or knight d4, threatening this check here. I don't think Shirov's in trouble. Actually, Hikaru might be in trouble. King h1. Nah, he's in time. He picked up this pawn. It's gonna be okay. And it looks like the Giri game is over. I don't know what result it ended with. Probably a draw. Giri spotted a move repetition here with rook f2, threatening checkmate by rook f3, so Vishy has to defend against that. And now he attacked the bishop again. So the game did end in a draw. Levon Aronian against Vladimir Kramnik. What's going on here?
Black is an exchange up, but white has a pawn and the attack.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much attack there is, though. Might end in a perpetual after something like, let's say, takes, knight g5. Could be that black has nothing better than takes, and this is a perpetual. But it could be that he does have something better, like bishop d3 to go to g6. Not sure. Very unclear. But at first sight, I can't see any reason against taking this pawn. Kramnik's played a f6, giving his king some breathing space. Guess he wants to take with the bishop, so he can put this here if needed. And yeah, bishop f6, king g2 is on the board, unpinning, so this guy can go here. The first onslaught is over, but white has some positional compensation. Still, I think Kramnik's gonna win this somehow. Queen e3, now he takes the pawn. White should take and then take on e6. And he does. I think Levon missed queen f5. You don't want to exchange queens here, and now I don't think there's a way to avoid that. Yeah, Levon's reflexes aren't quite there in this tournament. Now I believe he's lost.
Levon is also playing with his jacket on, by the way.
Yeah, big strategic mistake. He's trying to generate some play, but I believe he's lost. These passed pawns on the queen side are just much faster than those on the king side. Especially an a pawn is normally not something that knights like to deal with all that much. Yeah, and he resigns.
Resignation. So the last game to still be going on, Nakamura against Shirov. And Nakamura...
It's equal. I'm not sure if anybody's playing for a win, but it looks like we're headed towards a move repetition here with Rookie 1, Rookie 2. Yeah, there they go. Gonna do it like 80 times, but now they do shake hands. And that means in the standings, let me see if I can find some updated standings somewhere.
Is Kramnik caught up?
Well, Vichy's half a point ahead of Nakamura and Kramnik now, it seems like.
Okay. I'm struggling to count with those regulations. So
That's okay.
I'm confused. You'll have to talk me through the standings.
No problem, no problem. Just trying to bring them up, but I only grabbed the first 4. So yeah, Vichy 8.5 out of 12. Vladimir Kramnik 8 out of 12. Hikaru Nakamura 8 out of 12. Oh no,
Yeah,
those weren't updated. I'm sorry, that's the problem. Nakamura has 8.5 out of 12 as well, and both of the guys are half a point ahead of Kramnik. Oh, sorry. Somehow I thought Nakamura lost, but he did draw this game, of course. So yeah, us 3 favorites within half a point of each other after 12 rounds, or technically 7 rounds, but after 12 points are being played out. And we're in for a dramatic finish because they still have to play each other.
Well, the next round is Kramnik Nakamura, so that's going to be a massive, massive game. And Shirov Anand, Anish Giri against Levon Aronian.
So, what's your predictions then? Kramnik against Nakamura.
I think if Kramnik doesn't win this game, then I can give up on my hopes of him winning the tournament. I think this really is a must-win game for him.
So you think he's gonna win?
Well, I have to, don't I? If I say he will win the tournament, I have to think, I have to have faith. I think it's going to be a very interesting game because I think Kramnik realizes, of course, that if he wants to win the tournament, he probably needs to win this game.
Yeah, but I think he plays for a win in every white game. Let's see how it goes. And Shirov against Anand.
Do you have any idea what the score between these players, like what kind of score they have against each other?
Sure.
Kramnik
Anand has been crushing Shirov all through their careers. In classical, it's like 17-4. In rapid games, it's like 15-2 in Anand's favor. Kramnik has a minus score against Nakamura. Not a big minus score, they've been exchanging blows, but he has a small minus score. One of the few guys he has a minus score against. And Giri against Aronian. Aronian has a big lead in classical games, 4 wins to 0 wins from Anish Giri. And I don't think they've played that much in Blitz.
There's a question for us in the chat. Will you guys focus only on the Nakamura-Kramnik game or jump around? Hashtag hip-hop reference.
I'm not sure House of Pain references really count as hip-hop references. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll start with Kramnik Nakamura and then take it from there.
What opening do you think we'll get in this game?
Nah, 1 knight f3 to g3 and then see what happens. That's what Kramnik tends to do in Blitz. But he could do anything. I honestly do not know. But yeah, if I had to bet, I'd go with 1 knight f3 to g3.
So this is my tournament favorite facing yours.
I can't remember what I predicted in the original show. I might have said Kramnik as well.
But you predicted today a Hikaru victory.
Yeah, which
Earlier
is
today.
not the bravest of predictions with him being in the lead and the Blitz tournament still to come. But it's wide open, so it's going to be fun in the last 3 rounds. And once again, we see Alexei Shirov being the only one who's sitting alone in the danger zone at the board already.
Also, let's not forget about Vichy, who's in the joint lead, and he's playing Alexei Shirov, who's in the last place at the moment. So if Vichy wins this game and Nakamura-Kramnik is a draw, he will be the sole leader.
Yeah, absolutely. Vichy's totally in this, and he still has to face Nakamura as well. Vishy was the only one who defeated Nakamura in the opening blitz, where Nakamura started with 3.5 out of 4, then lost to Vishy in the 5th and last game. So Vishy has a shot.
You know, I'm always impressed by Vishy. I mean, it's very obvious that just because you have one bad tournament, as he did in Gibraltar, that doesn't mean you don't know how to play chess or something. But it's still impressive to see him come back so strongly after a rather poor performance in Gibraltar.
Yeah, we have to see the candidates. That's where the money's at. This is a rapid event, and he's normally felt very, very comfortable in rapid events. He's been dominating the rapid and blitz scene for the better of the last 20 years. But yeah, we'll see if it translates to the candidates. I'm sure it's gonna, leave him with a good feeling and make him forget Gibraltar a little bit. Would have been tougher to go straight to the candidates without having this good experience after his Gibraltar disaster. Even in Gibraltar, though, he won the last 2 games, which I'm sure it hasn't cheered him up much, but it always helps how you do in the last games, even if the tournament was terrible overall. And Vishy, he's been around for a while. I don't think he gets that affected by one bad tournament.
The candidates tournament is now less than a month away, so do you think all these players will just all go off to training camps now?
I'm not sure if all the time. Normally a chess training camp, if you're serious about it, shouldn't be longer than 7 days, because then guys start collapsing. If you're in some hotel somewhere with your seconds and looking at chess for 10 hours a day, normally they like to keep them to 5 till 7 days. So I guess maybe some of the guys will do 2 training camps, like one 7 days week of work, then a bit of relaxing, then another week of work. And normally the rule of thumb is that a week before the tournament you stop studying and do a bit of sports and chill a little bit. But everyone has their own routine, so I honestly don't know. And we should clarify, not all the players are playing in the candidates tournament, but 4 out of the 6 we see here, namely Nakamura, Anand, Aronian and Giri are playing there. Vladimir Kramnik is out. Didn't get a wild card, didn't manage to qualify by rating. Pity we don't get to see him. But the wild card went to Levan Aronian, who of course is a very deserving candidate for it as well. There we have Kramnik adjusting his pieces against Hikaru Nakamura.
We will see Kramnik back in action at Norway Chess, where he will be playing his arch enemy. Is that how you pronounce it? Arch enemy?
Arch, I would say.
Arch enemy Vasilin Topalov. Norway Chess, which has a very, very strong field despite the absence of the 3 American players. There you see a relaxed Vladimir Kramnik chatting away to Nakamura. I think it's always nice to see, that these top guys, they have very strong players and the tournament is at stake, but still, they are all friendly, they are relaxed, they're in a good mood. So it's good to see.
So far, I'm not sure if whoever loses this game is still going to be in a good mood. Kramnik is discussing opening secrets here with Nakamura. This line you play against knight f3, g3 is sort of nonsense, you know that. And to play b3 against Shirov, are you serious? Come on, play e4 like a normal person. What are you doing, Hikaru? So now I'm going to be another interesting question if Kramnik is going to help one of the candidates in their preparation.
I was literally just thinking of that. I mean, obviously, if he... Well, there are 2 Russian players, right, in the candidates, Swindler and Karyakin?
Yeah, but the chess scene is very international. I don't think that being countrymen with Svidler and Karyakin is gonna be a big factor there.
So you think, although the tournament is held in Moscow and there's 2 fellow countrymen of his, do you think he could possibly be helping someone else?
Yeah, of course. I don't know anything, but it wouldn't be surprise me if he got a call from maybe Vishy even. But I honestly don't know.
Someone's trying to do some video interpretation like us and talking about Nakamura's wedding ring. This isn't a wedding ring. Nakamura has been wearing this ring for as long as I remember him being around.
Is he married? He's not married, right?
He's engaged, I think. He's engaged. To an Italian chess player.
Yeah. ENS points out, there is multi-board. If you click on multi-board below the screen, you can follow all the games at once. And I was wrong about the opening. Kramnik has gone for 1d4, it looks like, against Mr. Nakamura. Can't see the games in our little tool yet. What's going on? Ah, here we are. Kramnik has played another recent love of his, the so-called Moscow system, which, yeah, is a thing we didn't see 2 years ago. Now all the top players like playing it. Kramnik has some experience, but it looks like they forgot to start the clock. Morons. Gotta press the button in the middle before the game goes on. Anyway, they only made 8 moves, so not that much damage is done.
It's interesting to know. It's interesting to see though that the players don't even really have a look at the clock in the opening phase of the game.
No, they were blitzing out moves they know, but sometimes it's awkward if you realize it too late. Bishop b5, all of this stuff has been seen recently. Queen c7, I believe, is a move that has featured here. Nakamura prefers to avoid the exchange, remove his knight, and Kramnik directly adjusts by taking on c5, going bishop d3, preparing e4. I haven't studied the London system all that much yet. I still think it's sort of nonsense and will disappear in a bit, but for now all the top players are very happy to discuss its subtleties. Even Magnus Carlsen played it recently in a tournament game in Vaikensee.
Boo, Aronian, boo. What's happening in Aronian's game?
I have no idea. He's not playing against Bu Shangji, so I'm not sure what that means. Nah, it's all theory. This is a trendy line in the Catalan. In my video series on Chess24, I recommended bishop d5 here, which is the main move, but Levon likes this strange maneuver a5 and rook to a6 to bring the rook to b6. And so far, no one has refuted it, so he sticks to it. He used it against, I believe, even against Nakamura in London in a classical game.
What do you think is the motivation of these 3 players, Aronian, Giri and Shirov, now that they can't fight for the top tournament places? Do you think their motivation is still the same as if they were in the first spots?
I don't know. I don't think you think about motivation all that much right now. You're trying to not lose games, and normally top players, they never need a reason to be motivated when they're facing other top players. And there might also be money at stake that I'm not sure about, but I could imagine that there is prizes, and I'm sure there's going to be different between 4th and 6th prize. Let's see how Vladimir Kramnik... Oh no, sorry, this is Shirov Anand. Oh, another flashback to the golden era when these guys used to discuss some sharp sidelines of the semi-Slav. Shirov still likes his openings. He played in those days. Not much of a d4 player these days. I believe he plays much more e4. But against Vichy, he's gone for this. Very sharp, but Vichy is incredibly good in these structures. a6 to prepare b5. I'm wondering if Shirov is going to leash out, play g5, which looks very tempting, but you have to be careful not to lose a pawn along this diagonal. And yeah, he hasn't done it. He's played f3 instead, trying to bring this knight back from h4. I don't know. Sharp position. My best guess is he wants to go b5. I think Vichy is okay, but you could get checkmated if you don't pay attention. Giri Aronian is sort of a boring-ish Catalan, which I'm sure Giri is going to be happy to have on the board here. He's analyzed this stuff, he knows what he's doing, he understands these positions. And frankly, the black pieces look a little funny, like this rook a6, rook b6 maneuver Levon played. I never trusted it because it looks so goofy. I hope Giri shows the way against it.
Someone asking what the increment is, so the time control is 4 minutes plus 2 seconds per move. Let's go back to Vladimir Kramnik against Hikaru Nakamura. The big game of this round, possibly tournament deciding. Although Vichy will have a word to say about that, of course.
Nakamura's fine. I'm not sure if more than fine, but definitely fine. He has the 2 bishops. Material is equal, so only black can be better here. If black were so inclined, he could always take on c4 and simplify, but he's not going to do that unprovoked.
Yeah, I don't like the way the opening has gone for white. I mean, black has the bishop pair and white. I can't really see anything white has. Plus the bishops are well placed. Yeah, I don't like this.
No, he's fine. The knight on g6 is a little misplaced. He's played bishop e7, the natural move, attacking c4. And yeah, I guess Kramnik's going to play b3 to defend it. You could go bishop d3, but it looks very passive. After rook d8, I don't think Kramnik's in trouble just yet, but he certainly has managed to put pressure out of the opening.
And Vichy has apparently sacrificed an exchange.
Vichy playing like he's still 17, playing blitz games in the Tal Chess Club. Or maybe he blundered and he greedily took the pawn and then this rook had no escape. But no, we can't really call this a sacrifice. He got 2 pawns for it, which even strictly materialistically speaking is enough compensation. And nice pieces.
Now?
He has to make sure he doesn't get checkmated though. You want to go g6 to block this, but you have to calculate that nothing bad happens here, which I'm not capable of doing. Looks a bit scary. This bishop is also dropping. And yeah, Vichy seems like he did not fancy moving a pawn on the king side. Gone for counterplay instead with b5. Rook f1, bc. Probably bc. This looks very dangerous.
Do you think white is better, or?
I can't calculate that fast, but it does look very, very scary. After b takes c4, either bishop f5 or just recapturing with the pawn or the bishop. And the white army is directed against the black king side, so you have to be careful. If Vichy survives the onslaught, he's going to be better. But if he doesn't, he's going to be checkmated, which is normally not a good proposition. Shirov takes a timeout here to calculate, and Mr. Fire on board leaves all the pieces hanging and has played knight to f4. Wow. If c takes d3, he wants to take on e6. Or so I would guess. cd3 has been played. And now what's going on?
Yes, taken. Vichy is taken back. Now?
Bishop still defends his pawn, so there's never checkmate. Maybe he's going for perpetual. Queen f7, king h8, but even there's not even a perpetual queen h5, there's knight h7, so I think Shirov has gone not fire on board, but has gone overboard here, just sacrificing one of his key attackers, because his bishop on b2 doesn't do anything. I don't know, unless there's some brilliancy here. I think he's just bungled it with his knight f4. Vichy happily collecting whatever pieces are thrown his way. No, I think it's just gone.
Yep.
If you at least could bring your rook to the h-file, but rook g5 is impossible because of queen g5, and rook g4 doesn't even carry a threat. Yeah, and Shirov resigns.
Wow.
Some blackout there.
And we had a draw already between Kramnik and Nakamura.
Yeah, after the opening didn't go well, Kramnik couldn't really hope for more.
Okay, so that means Vichy is now the sole leader of the tournament.
Yeah, half a point ahead of Nakamura, who in turn is half a point ahead of Vladimir Kramnik, so still all to play for. And let's see how the two guys who don't have that much to play for anymore are doing. Earlier, Levon seemed to be in trouble, and he still seems to be in trouble because there's problems on e6, and if you go knight f8, knight d5 is a bit of an unpleasant surprise.
And he's also almost a minute down on the clock.
Did he blunder this? No, that would be hard to believe. What has he done? Ah, he's played queen f7, dc, and e5. Once again, Giri made it to the endgame. Is he better in this endgame? Rook e6. Not much. No. Looks roughly equal. Black's gonna go king f6, then put this rook on c6. Nah, Levon has survived. If he survives the clock situation, 6 seconds left, he's gonna have to blitz, but Giri looks to be simplifying yet further, and rook c3. Rook takes a5. This is gonna come down to 3 against 2 endgame, which is a draw at this level, but with such limited time you could play on a little bit. These pawns are gonna get exchanged for each other, and it's a reasonably simple draw. But can't blame Aguirre for trying.
I guess they will try until the very end here, no?
Yeah, and as you should, there's zero risk. Now things have gotten a little strange. After rook f5 check, I don't understand why Levon didn't go here, because now after king g6 it might not be so easy to exchange these pawns for each other. Even though Aguirre, I think, has cooperated by playing rook to c4, letting this king out of the box. I think he should have kept the rook on f4 and brought the king over. Because now, all of a sudden, you could lose this with white if you're not careful. Wow, Aguirre is really off in this tournament. He's playing very strangely. He's tried to, collect this pawn, but there's been a lot of counterplay generated. King d3, rook takes a4, rook c4. It's going to be a race. White is going to have to give up his pawn and try to create enough play with his remaining pawns on the king side. Because now rook c4 is a big threat. So I think you have to take on c2 and go king g3, g6. He's just going to take and go rook g4 check. So that's another blunder. And now he's lost. Aguirre really not in good shape.
It's incredible.
I don't have a computer running here, so all of this stuff is really not rocket science. Even though, now that I've criticized him that much, I'm no longer 100% sure how winning this really is, because you can't keep giving checks with the rook, and the black rook is not correctly placed to build a bridge. It would have to be somewhere else. Levon's trying to gain some time before he tries king c1, and I guess white is in time to go get enough counterplay with his f-pawn. This is what it comes down to. Now king g4, take on c2. King takes and f5, and one would have to count if you're on time. I'm not sure if he's in time. I guess it's a draw, but I'm no good at counting these things out. If rook d1 has been played, f6, rook f1, king g5, king d3, king g6, king e4, f7, king e5, king g7, and he's just in time to secure the draw by one tempo. If king e6, then it would be lost. So, bit of a lucky break there for Aguirre, but starting from the position he had to almost lose this.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
He's not in good shape. His reflexes aren't there.
And there we see Shirov already coming back for the next game.
Shirov really
he just wants to get the tournament over with. Okay, so let's have a look at the standings. I realized I'm really struggling with this blitz. Like, the main thing I'm trying to think of is just close my mouth while I'm sitting here looking at the games, trying to figure out what's going on. But
That's
actually doing commentary, I struggle to even listen to what you're saying. I'm just looking at the video, looking at the guys.
No one's listening to what I'm saying. That's what everyone's doing. That's perfectly fine.
Anyway, I can tell you the tournament standings while Jan is bringing them up. And Vichy is now in the sole lead with 9.5 out of 13. He's followed by Nakamura with 9 out of 13 and Kramnik with 8.5. And in the next round, we will have the game between Vichy Anand with the white pieces against Hikaru Nakamura.
Yeah, more highlights since all the favorites are still facing each other. Nothing is decided yet, and we're in for some more treats. Let's see if I manage to get all the players this time around. So we have Vichy in the sole lead, Tiger from Chennai. No one calls him that. I really don't know if we can call him that. Tiger from Madras, which is now called Chennai. It's a bit like the artist formerly known as Prince. In the lead on 9.5 out of 13. Nakamura 9 out of 13, but the direct encounter still ahead. Kramnik half a point behind. And then there's a bit of a gap of 4 points to Levan and Jan with 4.5, Anish Giri 4, and Alexei Shirov 3.5 out of 13. A lot of excitement still to come.
I'm starting to think Vichy is actually going to win the tournament. If he doesn't lose this as white. But then he still has Kramnik in the last round, oh no. Did he... Who's he playing in the last round? Yeah, black against Kramnik in the last round. Okay,
Yeah,
so the last two rounds are going to be very, very exciting. Anything, I mean, still any of the three players could still win it.
How many rounds are left? I lost
Just
count.
two.
So now it's round number 9, right?
Yeah, now is round number 9. So now we have Anish Giri against Vladimir Kramnik, Aronian against Shirov, Anand against Nakamura, as I mentioned. And then the last round will be Kramnik against Anand, Nakamura against Aronian, and Shirov against Giri.
Drama!
Yep.
Shirov in last place now, which, yeah, is not a surprise, but it did start off quite well for him, so he's not going to be thrilled. And now someone comes to talk to him, to distract him. That's just the arbiter rearranging the clock.
He's looking quite tired, actually.
He does look a bit tired, yeah. Then again,
I think we see Kramnik's daughter there in the public, right?
I don't know, is that her sitting on the chair in the middle?
Yeah. Because that seems to be Kramnik's wife discussing with the tournament sponsor Oleg Skortsov.
Mm-hmm. What magazine is his daughter reading? Is that a chess magazine?
Is it actually... From a distance it looks a bit like Europäischek, but I could just be making that absolutely up. I wonder if his daughter speaks French. She must be, surely.
Of course,
Yeah.
He lives in Paris, Mr. Kramnik. I don't think he speaks French, so that's been a bit of an issue to find a common language with his daughter. But I'm
Is
not
that Sepp Blatter who just arrived? No. Am I making this?
No, it looks like Sepp Blatter. Yeah.
Wow.
Famous guests.
It's not the sort of guest I thought you would have
No.
at a tournament after everything that's happened. But I guess, I mean, sort of the same as having Kirsten.
Former FIFA president. Maybe he's looking to switch from football to chess. He's heard might be a vacancy in FIDE, and that's why he's starting to show his face at chess tournaments.
While Kirsten takes over FIFA.
Could be, yeah. There's a little
Plot twist.
revolving doors.
Yep. I've never actually seen Sepp Blatter be involved in anything chess related before.
No, looks like no one of the journalists on site have seen him before, because they are all very motivated to get his picture instantly. Poor players. Everyone's thinking, what's going on here? I'm a superstar in Armenia, no one's taking my picture, this guy arrives.
Actually, when I was
All eyes on him.
when I was in Qatar, I was talking to Kramnik, and he said the day Xavi showed up, he thought that Xavi was some kind of singer, some Latino singer or something. So maybe the players don't realize who just.
Yeah, Kramnik might not be a big football student. I don't know, some of them are very into football, but I'm not sure about these guys. Vichy follows a bit, but not very seriously. Levon, I don't think, is a football guy, even though he likes all kinds of events. Magnus is a big football fan, and I think Kramnik is also a football fan.
No, Kramnik didn't know who Xavi was, so I doubt he's a big football fan. I mean, if you're a big football fan, you'll know who Xavi is.
Yeah, that is strange, because I know that Kramnik many times he said, no, I want to make a quick draw because I had to watch Champions League and so on, but maybe that was before Barcelona got any good, or he only watches
Russian.
Zenit St. Petersburg, I don't know.
Do you think, is he a Zenit fan?
No, I made that up, I'm not sure. He's probably a Moscow fan, but I do not know. I'm not a big football fan myself, so I'm just talking.
But I mean, even you can't be a Moscow. There are two big clubs in Moscow, CSK and Spartak. So it have to be. If I'm not totally mistaken, he's a Spartak fan, but I could be making that up as well. Anyway,
Levon is fully focused there in the middle. He smells Shirov might be a little tired, and he thinks, okay, I haven't done well so far, time to get into it. And we're being told that Levon is a big football fan by Mikhail Ovsepian.
You are not a big football fan, are you?
No.
Anyway, the games have started. I think we should mostly focus on Anand Nakamura this time.
Vichy playing it safe against Nakamura, choosing the more or less symmetrical line of the Ruy Lopez, the Berlin. This position, which has been discussed a ton at the highest level as well, d5, d4 nowadays. They go g3 here, trying to make something happen because the knight on f5 is a little bit misplaced, but of course it's a symmetrical pawn structure, and with careful play, black tends to equalize here. Nakamura, a little surprised by c3. As I mentioned, g3 is the latest fashion.
And so I think a draw is not too bad a result for Anand in this game.
No, of course not. He's in the lead. He'd be happy with the draw. That's why he chooses this very symmetrical line. But Hikaru, he's so tricky in Blitz. Any opening he can breathe live into.
I also miscounted because I thought, so if Vichy draws, Kramnik can't catch up with him yet, even with a win. So.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vichy playing it very safe. Knight f1, he probably wants to follow with knight g3. If he has to, or knight e3, queen c2. In general, this setup is not supposed to be very challenging. If they play for more, they tend to put the bishop on g2 nowadays. But still, black has to solve the problem of his knights being all over the place. That's what Hikaru's trying. Put one on g6, maybe put it on h4 to exchange it. Probably Vichy wants to go g3 now, just to restrict his knight. No, he doesn't mind exchanges. He goes queen c2. Allowing knight fh4, which I believe Hikaru should play. We'll see though. We can't see the faces. And they do have a bottle of Evian standing there. I'm not sure if Hikaru made a new deal, not only Red Bull, also a water company. Maybe he thought, Magnus has this Norwegian water, I need some French water. But it looks like it's standing on Vichy's side of the board.
Talking of water, sometimes I'm still amazed when I come into the office that we actually have water called Magnus.
Yeah, I don't like it that much. I gotta say, Magnus, your water brand. Actually, that's not the water brand Magnus is representing, strangely enough. I believe he's an Isklar guy. But yeah, we do have water called Magnus in the office. And knight fh4 has been played. Knight takes, queen takes. First side looks scary, but there's no real attack here. Either knight g3 or g3. Still, Vichy clearly did not play this game aggressively. He was fine exchanging that knight, and Hikaru should now be very close to equality. You could even think about queen h3 in martial style. But, oh, hang on. After knight e3, I was going to say knight e3 is fine then. But here there might be knight to h4, threatening a check here. Some tricks at least. Hikaru tends to be quick to spot those.
Anand has been playing very quickly though, already a minute up on the time.
Yeah, it's maybe easier to play for him because he doesn't mind some exchange, and maybe he studied this while Nakamura is trying to find a way to mix it a little bit. Queen h3 is on the board, but this knight e3, knight h4 has not yet happened. I'm not sure if it works, but it looks like it's threatening a check here. And if gh, bishop h2, king h1. Not sure if that's checkmate, but it certainly feels dangerous. It is actually checkmate. So that's not going to happen, but just to show that even in these quiet positions, some care has to be taken, and that's why Vichy is taking some time now.
Okay, then let's take the moment and very quickly go to see what's going on in Giri Kramnik.
Nothing's going on in Giri Kramnik, equal position. In Anand, we've just seen, in Aroni and Shirov. The pieces are all over the place. I'm gonna need like 5 minutes to count the material balance. No clue. Rook e2, bishop takes c4.
What just happened?
Yeah, black
I
currently has an extra pawn.
To move.
But white has an extra piece, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Very confusing. Rook c2, he wants bishop to d3. But even after rook takes c5 here, white is sort of winning. And yeah, that has happened. Rook c5, king e7, now rook e5. Now, Aroni is going to win this one, but it's going to be very small consolation. Rook e5, king f8. This is just a technically winning position, either b3 or, well, any move really.
Okay, so back to Anand Nakamura.
Yeah, Vichy was forced to play f4, which is not a move you want to play. Yeah, he's trying to defend along the second rank, but that's a positional concession, weakening some squares. And Nakamura continues playing aggressively, bishop g4. eyeing the f3 square. I guess Vichy wants to go here. Then Nakamura's going to play queen h5. This looks like a decent martial attack now, with an extra pawn on d5, so Nakamura can be happy.
You know, I was just thinking, if Nakamura happens to win Zurich, he will be going into the candidates on top confidence marks, because he has just won the Gibraltar Super Open. Winning a tournament like Gibraltar twice in a row is not an easy feat, and winning Gibraltar and following that up with a victory at Zurich would be fantastic for the American.
Yeah, he's won both of these last year as well. Slowed down in the second year of the half, but he seems to like it in Gibraltar and Zurich. Not sure what they have in common. Probably expensive food. But yeah, maybe he's just a winter kind of guy. He doesn't like it when it gets too warm.
Should be happy in Moscow then.
That's true. f5, Vichy is trying to mix it. Doesn't want to just defend with queen g2. Takes this knight, normally h8, not a great square for a knight. So my guess would be that knight e7 is the obvious choice, but maybe Nakamura is considering a piece sacrifice here, rook e8. Or even some other move to meet fg with fg, but I can't quite see enough action.
Absolutely no idea what's going on here.
Well, the knight is under attack, and you should probably remove it to e7. That's what he's done. And Anand played knight e3, defending the f5 pawn. Now bishop f3 doesn't really threaten anything, but it looks scary. Maybe it does actually threaten bishop g3. So I would expect queen f2. The queen goes back to h5 to defend the pawn. And yeah, I still think Nakamura's fine. Maybe you can... no, it looks too dangerous. I was going to say maybe you can play h3 to threaten g4, but g4 is not a threat.
Let's play rook f1 instead.
Yeah, that's a better move. If bishop e4, then you can take and go f6 and probably overtake the initiative. Good job by Vichy fighting back, or maybe he was always in good shape and it just looked a little scary. But yeah, I think he's doing very well now. Bishop g4 is the alternative, but then knight takes followed by f6.
And he has just played bishop g4 actually.
Yeah, this also looks unpleasant. Either f6 directly or take on g4 first and then f6. No, Vichy is back in the driver's seat.
Actually, if Vichy wins, has he just won the tournament already? Yeah.
If Kramnik wins and then Vichy loses last round?
Oh yeah, then they will be equal.
f6 played by Vichy. And yeah, this is not nice.
But if Vichy wins and Kramnik doesn't win, then Vichy will be the tournament winner.
That is correct. Aronian has defeated Shirov in the meantime. And Giri against Kramnik is still kind of a boring position, but it looks like Kramnik, once again, is putting some pressure, might be getting somewhere. He could make a draw by taking on b2, but he's going to try for more, probably something like b3. And knight to c1, knight to d2, yeah, that has happened, defending the pawn. Now white has to go knight to d4. He didn't go knight d4. I thought he had to. Maybe he didn't have to. Maybe it's still under control. So Kramnik slightly better, but most likely a draw. And let's go back to the Anand Nakamura game. f6, pawn takes, knight takes g4, all of this on the board, queen f6, and Nakamura didn't want to wait passively, went for bishop takes g3. What's going on? Vichy's at least winning the queen. I'm not sure if that means winning the game as well. But yeah, probably does actually. This should be a question of technique. Bishop f4. Black has a rook and a knight for the queen, which is not enough, especially with Vichy having this h-pawn to reinforce his attack. Bishop e5, another nice move. If knight takes e5, queen f6, and if bishop takes e5, d takes e5, which has been played, rook a8. I was going to say the h-pawn decides the outcome, but I'm no longer 100% sure. It looks like Vichy's forcing a draw, which confuses me. Looks like he took on g6 to give a perpetual, which I really can't understand if this is what happened.
Yeah,
Is the game over? Yeah, they've made a draw. Wow.
Very strange. Looked like...
Well, it's no longer so easy.
Okay, shall we go back to see what happened after we finish watching Giri, who is still going on? Giri against Kramnik?
Sure.
Okay, Giri is now actually a pawn up in this endgame.
Yeah, Kramnik has overpressed a little bit and he might pay the price for it. I'm not sure how he managed to lose that pawn. Or was he pawn down all the way and I just can't count? That's also possible.
Maybe he was. No.
No, he's done something very, very bad. Now, it should still be a draw. There's not enough pawns left, but at least in Blitz, these positions aren't easy to defend. King will go to g4. Won't be pleasant. This is a good square for the knight, though, stopping anything coming to g4. Yeah, curious to retrace the steps, but now Kramnik wins some space with g4. Now it's very close to draw.
I always find it interesting how a lot of those Blitz games are not decided by one player playing another, but often by the player who is better over pressing.
I don't think it happens often.
No?
More often than not, if you have the initiative, it's worth a lot in Blitz and they win the game. But yeah, of course, accuracy is much lower in Blitz and such things can happen.
I mean, we've seen it happen quite a lot today, at least. Oh.
I have a horrible memory. I forgot all the other games already. I'm just a little surprised by Vichy going for the draw here. Probably he was happy with it given the tournament situation, but still he could have finished the game off with.
I mean, he still has to play Kramnik with the black pieces, which is not an easy pairing.
No, of course not. That's why this extra half point would have given him a lot more margin for error. While yeah, this game.
It wouldn't just have given him a margin for error, it would have given him a tournament victory.
Yeah, that's infinite margin for error. Why are they still playing? Come on guys, this is a draw. Two knights against bishop is, yeah, not a material balance that allows many winning chances, and therefore they do agree a draw. Even if black blunders the bishop, it's
actually
still a draw.
at the last European Club Cup, a friend of mine who is an IM was playing against Posny, and they ended up in the endgame 2 knights against king. And my friend offered a draw, which maybe he shouldn't have done, but still, I mean, if you're an IM, you wouldn't expect. And Posny turned down the draw and tried to mate him with 2 knights. So there you go.
Yeah, but you don't offer a draw if you're a material down. That's just bad style.
Yeah.
I think you refuse on principle and then play on a bit. Because the weaker side is not supposed to offer a draw. But of course, yeah, there's no winning chances. Still, I have to look back at Vichy's game.
Yeah.
Because here, even bishop g5 here, for example, you have to take, queen takes, and then you push the h-pawn up the board. Looks very close to winning to me. Bishop play bishop f4, bishop f6, but now he was very eager to simplify. No real reason for it. You could just go rook f1 as well, because after this the e-pawn becomes a little weak, and things might no longer be so straightforward. But yeah, even here after, let's say, rook e1, I think white has good winning chances. But yeah, Vichy happy to draw that one. Maybe that was a strategy for the game, and he thought, okay, I'm not going to change strategy now just because I'm a queen up. And he did force the perpetual.
So, funnily, going into last round, the standings are unchanged. Vichy still is sole leader on 10 out of 14, followed by Nakamura on 9.5 and Kramnik on 9. And yeah, I was just saying, funnily, if Vichy draws his game against Kramnik and Nakamura beats Aronian with the white pieces, just as last year, we will have a tie between those 2 players.
Yeah, and then let's see if Oleg Skvortsov has a plan for the playoffs in that case. I believe, yeah, earlier we were told that the rules are whatever, Sonneborn, Berger and so on, so no further games coming. And we're gonna continue to operate under that information while Skvortsov has a chat with Sepp Blatter there in the back. Yeah, that's impressive that he shows up at a chess tournament, but probably doesn't have the best image right now and wants to rebuild it a little bit. Kramnik's daughter there in the first row with his wife. Or I guess it's Kramnik's daughter. I honestly don't know.
It is his daughter, yeah.
Wow, the waiter wearing a bow tie. That's class.
It is a classy location, this tournament, the Savoy Hotel in Zurich.
Have you been there?
No.
Oh, I mean, it looks nice.
Judging from the pictures and the waiters' outfits.
Yeah. Kramnik's daughter doesn't seem to be that interested in her magazine, uses it as hat. No, she's dropped it. And Nakamura acting very relaxed. Now he's drinking his Red Bull, which he feels like need to get all the energy I can for this last round game.
It's going to be a big round because also if Kramnik beats Anand and Nakamura draws, then all three of them will be tied.
That's right.
And if Nakamura wins and Kramnik wins, Nakamura wins it outright. You couldn't really ask for much more suspense from a last round than this. The leaders facing each other as well, two of the leaders facing each other.
Shirov once again lonely at the board, does seem to like it there. On center stage, hasn't been part of many super tournaments recently, and he's facing off against Anish Giri, who has not had his best tournament yet. Last night, Sopiko posted on Facebook, his wife, I still love you, or I love you, and he said still, but if he has a bad Blitz tournament, I'm not sure if that situation could change over there. So a lot at stake for Anish in his last game against Alexei Shirov as well. Let's try to bring up the standings. There's David Yada, the Spanish photographer, staring into the camera, thinking, oh, last game I didn't get a lot of camera time yet. I'll hold my head into it for the last 10 minutes at the very least. Are these the current standings? I'm not quite sure what I've done here.
Yeah, looks correct.
So Vishy on 10, Nakamura on 9.5, Kramnik on 9, and then once again there's a little gap to Levin Aronian on 5.5.
It's actually a huge gap. It's not something you see every day in top level chess. In a field of 6 players, that 3 players are just absolutely, I mean, especially in a field where the level is very close. I mean, Shirov is a bit above everyone else, but below everyone else. But I mean, the other 5 guys are all very close in rating, and it's very rare to see such a big gap in the standings.
That's true. Kasparov once won Linares with like +5 and everyone else had -1. But in general, yeah, you don't see holds as big, even though it's a little falsified by the fact that you got 2 points per game in the rapid. So whoever had a bad rapid event finds it very hard to catch up now. Anyway, those are the scores. Vishy needs to win for outright victory. If he draws, Nakamura can catch him. If he loses and Nakamura wins, and so on and so forth. I'm sure you've done the math by now. Pairings are Kramnik against Anand, Nakamura against Aronian, and Shirov against Giri. Stakes is high.
Apparently Blatter has left the building. That would be
Brief
a
appearance.
very brief appearance.
No time for the last round. He did get the pictures in. And Vishy looks cool, calm and collected. Vishy can always fall back on his instincts and on his tremendous opening knowledge. But of course, Nakamura is, together with Magnus Carlsen, the biggest test there is waiting in a Blitz game out there. World number 1 and number 2 in the Blitz ratings. Carlsen and Nakamura taking turns there on the number 1 spot.
Do you think everyone is just waiting for Kramnik?
I don't know, where is Kramnik? Is he coming? I'm staring at the door. Maybe Kramnik was stopped by Blatter's security. Who are you, tall Russian guy? There he is. So, Kramnik and Anand, those two know each other very well, of course. Played a World Championship match, amongst other things. A very good, friendly relations. They've been spotted having dinner together with their families more than once.
You mentioned earlier today that they have a lot of draws.
Yeah, and their tournament games over the last couple of years haven't been a lot of decisive games. And Nakamura against Aronian. There has been a lot of bloodshed. Nakamura used to have a terrible score against Levan Aronian, but recently he's won a game or two as well. And in Blitz, the score has been good.
He now plays your knight f3, g3. That is Kramnik.
Yeah, and Vichy plays a system he doesn't normally play, c6 and bishop to g4. But of course, a solid system. Doesn't want to see. Maybe this is a case of hiding preparation for the candidates, because Kramnik doesn't have to hide anything. And Vichy maybe doesn't want to show what he has up his sleeve at the candidates. Or the other way around, this is his main weapon.
Also, if you guys out there, if anyone knows what's happening in case of a tie, if one of you knows for sure that there will not be a game, another deciding tiebreak game, let us know.
Yeah, Vichy's given up the bishop on f3 and followed up very aggressively with e5, e4. Nothing you would do without having looked at it at home. It's justified by the fact that Kramnik played this move queen to e1 in order to prepare e4, but which looks a little misplaced now. Kramnik went back to g2, bishop c5. Vichy following his homework here.
You know, as I said, what I just realized that all of the super tournaments we had lately were all decided by tiebreaks. The London Classic, Qatar, Gibraltar. So I feel like we didn't used to have so many tiebreak deciders in the past.
Yeah, Magnus is slumping a little bit. He used to win these things alone, like 2 points ahead of the field. But he might be back.
Okay, so what's going on in Aronian's game?
I don't know, I think it's a sharp theoretical line of the anti-Berlin. I'm not sure if it's the same line, but I believe I've seen stuff like this in a game. Caruana against Grishuk in London. So I would guess both players have still looked at this. And Levon probably happy he can blitz out his preparation instead of having to think when he's not in great form. I believe black is fine here. 2 bishops, his king is safe. And white has to act very quickly. Nakamura goes f5 after a bit of thought. If queen e5 threatening checkmate, he could go knight f3. So you can't do that, and Levon had to retreat his bishop. Knight f3, I would guess. Complicated position, but I have a feeling black should be okay.
Okay, so let's stick with Kramnik. Anand, just to remind you, if Anand wins, he wins the tournament outright, so a big game.
Yeah, bishop g5 played that threatening knight takes e4, but black can just play h6, bishop takes, knight takes f6, as Vichy has, solving all his problems. He is by no means worse. White has to go e3 before black manages to go e4, e3, and yeah, Kramnik did that. Now, what black wants to do is put his pawns on light squares, h5, g6, castle probably kingside, and keep defending the e4 pawn, and he can never be in any trouble. He started with castles, also perfectly normal.
Can black even be better here?
Maybe, but it's also hard to make too much happen. You gotta keep an eye on the e4 pawn. There is opposite color bishops. Rooks will probably get exchanged along the d file. Black is a little bound to defending that pawn, so I don't really think he's better. I think he should throw in h5 at some moment, just to stop white from potentially going g4. The Vichy's played b5. He wants to control the c4 square.
Also, Kramnik has to win this game to stand a chance of winning the tournament. How does he create some...
He's not going to be able to do it. There's just no real targets in the black position. Now Vichy, yeah, I believe used some nice opening preparation for this game. I'm not sure if this is his main line, but he's blitzed out this idea with bishop takes f3 followed by e4. Clearly knew what he was doing. And Kramnik could not ask any overly tricky questions. Still, you just continue playing with 2 minutes each on the clock. Things can happen, but there's not much white can do.
By the way, my good friend Leonard Otis, who some of you might know who works with chess broadcast, is telling me on Skype that should 2 players still be equal first, then an Armageddon game will be played with 5 minutes for white against 6.
Ah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So
thank you, Leonard.
There is going to be more action. We'll see. First of all, if it happens, and secondly, if we can get a hold of it, then of course we're going to comment that one as well. So Nakamura, Aronian. Aronian hasn't been in great shape. This reminds me of some classical games by Lasker giving up his bishop and then locking in the black bishop on d7 to have this majority on the king side. Maybe he's a little better now, but after bishop b4 there's a threat of bishop takes d2 and bishop takes f5, so white has to react. Takes on b4, queen takes. Maybe c4 to block this queen out, or maybe just rook d1. And he moves, but it does look, I have to change my mind, it does look like Nakamura won the opening battle. Now with the bishops off, white is a little better. Queen f2 hits a7.
Also, Nakamura winning makes it much more likely we will see the Armageddon playoff.
That's true. Could face either Kramnik.
What if 3 players tie though?
Oh no, if Nakamura wins, he can't face Kramnik. If he draws, he could face Kramnik. Oh no, that also doesn't make sense. No, Nakamura can't face Kramnik.
Yeah, he can. If Nakamura draws and Kramnik wins, then the 3 will be tied.
No, but Vichy is half point ahead. Yeah, of course. No, I'm confused. You're right.
Yeah.
So Nakamura needs to draw and Kramnik to win for a 3-way tie, but I don't see Kramnik winning.
Yeah.
Vichy's just very solid here. Still hasn't played my h5 g6 plan, but even without it, there's no real problems in his position.
Okay, but let's say you are white here and you have to win. What do you try to do?
We just keep making moves, as Kramnik does. He's just played knight b1, trying to regroup his knight to d2, b3 and d4, and you hope for the best, but he is not better, and you can't force a position that's not better to become winning if Vichy doesn't do anything wrong. He's played b3 directed, maybe against queen c4 or against queen a2, also weakening some dark squares on the queen side. And now for Vichy the question is going to be, does he try to simplify or does he just sit and wait? Now he's played g6, yeah, g6, h5, king g7, and very logical micro improvements of his position. And white now he's played b3, can no longer activate this knight via b3. So I really struggle suggesting what he could do. Maybe Vichy should go rook a8 just to stop any potential rook a1s. e4 is well protected still.
By the way, now Leonard tells me that he's made a mistake and there is no Armageddon. That apparently the
Make up your mind, Leonard.
The person who wrote to us in the chat earlier was right. So
Okay.
total points, then Sonneborn-Berger, then number of wins, etc., etc. So we will not have an Armageddon
That's
today.
too bad. So we're gonna have to study the finer points of the Sonneborn-Berger system after, should there be a tie. For now, Nakamura is doing his part. I believe he's putting pressure against Levon, even though I'm not sure if it's winning already, but the f7 pawn looks like it's gonna drop. Queen takes, rook takes, can't defend this, so probably have to do something like bishop e6 with very good winning chances for white. Yeah, rook f6, queen f6, rook f6 is on the board. Levon faces a tough decision. Maybe he wants to go rook g8.
Can you remind me what Sonnenborn-Berger, I don't even know how to pronounce it. Do you think that would favor Vichy, or I'm just trying to imagine how disappointed Vichy would be if he lost out a second year in a row on some regulation point to Nakamura.
Well, last year
He played a
lose
match,
the
but
game,
he
but-
didn't expect there to be.
Yeah, Sonneborn-Berger is a weird system. Bottom line is you get more points if you beat someone who scored well in the tournament. You get less points if you beat someone who didn't score well. So it would come down to, yeah, who beat the players who had the better result, but I have no clue.
Is Nakamura's just winning in this?
I would guess so, yeah. He's pushing his g and h pawn up the board. g7 I'm not sure, because now if he goes h6 he no longer has rook h8, so maybe g7 he rushed a little bit, and I think Levon's smelling that, and he's putting up some resistance now, but now he just blundered, or I don't know if he blundered, maybe it was just lost, but he lost his rook, and yeah, this is over. Rook h3 followed by h6, h7. Yeah, you can start with this too. And now rook h3 is coming whenever you need it. Yeah, Nakamura is going to win. Not a great outing for Levon Aroni in this tournament, and I believe Anand against Kramnik has ended in a draw. So yeah, we can watch the end of Nakamura Aronian, but there won't be any surprises. Even though Levon's trying his best. King takes g5, b2, but he did resign after rook h1, a3, for example. You can use both rooks to defend this back rank. And you still have this h-pawn queening. So that leaves us with Nakamura and Anand, just like last year, tied in first place on 10.5 out of 15.
I always find it a bit confusing, especially as a commentator, but always as a chess fan, if a tournament concludes and I have no idea who won, and I have no way of finding out.
Well, we have a way of finding out.
Yeah, but
We're
I mean,
gonna
someone
ask the
would have
chat.
to
Tell us, chat, who won? No Armageddon, so there's no match upcoming. Even though, yeah, there we see Oleg Skvortsov last year. It was a very last-minute decision to have that match, but I don't think it's going to happen this year. So we're going to have to find out who has the better tiebreak. I honestly do not have a clue. We're going to stick around for a while until someone tells us.
Maybe we can just have a look at the camera and see if someone comes up to congratulate one of the players. And we actually see Hikaru and Anand having a chat there together. Do you think I reckon they don't know who won the tournament.
No, players never have a clue about the Sonneborn-Berger or whatever scores. I'm trying to figure it out by studying the cross table. And I believe Vichy has the better tiebreak according to my math, but I really don't have a clue, because first is also number of wins. I don't have a clue who won more games. So someone has to tell us. I do not know.
But also number of wins that considers the classical and blitz games equally, treats them equally, or?
I would guess so, yeah. I'm not sure anybody's given a lot of thought to the finer points of the tie breaks before the event. No, you just randomly choose one.
I always think that chess organizers, especially learning from what happened at the Grand Chess Tour last year, should really give more thought to tie-break regulations and just make.
Yeah, there's something at stake, like in the tour, and money at stake and so on. If there's not, I'm not sure how it is in Zurich. I don't think it matters that much to the players, but yeah, maybe someone did study it in detail as well and came up with a system. I don't know. Looks like no one is having a clue in the chat either. People are suggesting alphabetically Anand won. Now, yeah, people are saying Anand won, and according to my very deep studies of the cross table, I'm inclined to agree, but I honestly do not know.
Okay, shall we have a quick look at the final standings?
Yeah, that's what we're trying to find out, who won the thingy.
I meant the final standings, just without declaring final standings. I can't speak anymore, it's been a long weekend.
That's okay.
So in the final standings, Nakamura and Anand share first place. We're still to find out who has the better tiebreak. We reckon it might be Anand. Then in third place, Vladimir Kramnik with 9.5 out of 15. So Nakamura and Anand had 10.5 out of 15. Kramnik in third place with 9.5. And then a 4-point gap to place 4, where Anish Giri, who won, by the way, we didn't mention this at all, but he won the last round against Alexei Shirov.
Kudos.
So yeah, Anish Giri and Levon Aronian share 4th and 5th place with 5.5, and Alexei Shirov in last with 3.5 out of 15.
Yeah, 3.5 out of 15 sounds pretty bad. Shirov collapsed a bit there in the Blitz event, looked a bit tired. We're still trying to get confirmation if Vichy or Nakamura has the better tiebreak. Not that it matters that much to both. It was a nice test of form before the candidates. Vichy very much back after his disaster in Gibraltar here, scoring 10.5 out of 15 against such a strong field is gonna leave him with a warm feeling before the candidates. And we're getting some useful feedback. Announcers should somehow know who's the winner. It's not very professional not to know. Why don't you do the math for us, Terry Hemmingson? Seems like no one's knowing. to not know the rules of tiebreak when you're hosting. We know the rules, but we still don't know who won.
Think 10 minutes ago we were still thinking we would see an Armageddon game. Though that was the Leonard's fault, that wasn't ours.
It looks like Vichy and Nakamura are equal on Sonneborn-Berger, so that leaves us with whatever the third tiebreak is. And yeah, I still don't have a clue. I'm relying on Terrier to fill us in.
So the first tiebreak is Sonneborn-Berger. The second one is number of wins.
Okay, so Sonneborn-Berger is equal. The number of wins. Did anybody pay attention? I have a feeling Vichy is more solid, so Nakamura probably has more wins.
People are now saying Nakamura won in the chat, but...
Can we trust the chat? I don't think anybody's ever lied in the chat, so probably. Yeah, we know that Sonneborn-Berger is equal, but that leaves us with the next tiebreak.
But also, I'm also confused whether number of wins, if they're going to give count wins in the classical double somehow, as they did in the standings.
Yeah, I don't think so. That would be strange. But yeah, that's the problem. Once you start mixing with the systems, you start giving 2 points in one game and 1 point in another game, then things get all mixed up.
Someone suggested
Looks
you
like
and I
that.
should play a blitz game to decide the winner. I'm not sure how that would work.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna resolve it. It looks like they're equal in the number of wins and number of wins with black as well.
It would be funny if we had an Armageddon in the end, after all. If they were just equal on all the... Okay, so apparently Zurich website says Anand has won, but then the Twitter feed said that even before the Blitz tournament, so...
Yeah, can't trust anybody. I feel terribly guilty. I don't want to let down Tarje, so I'm gonna try it out. And for next tournament, I'm gonna calculate all possible results in advance and prepare those.
There's nothing on the... Maybe he was referring to the Twitter, but the tweet was deleted.
Yeah, no, probably just meant the standings that are published there, but I don't think you can trust those either, because it all depends on the finer points.
Maybe look at the arbiters. Maybe they're just sitting there still figuring it out.
They're still trying to figure it out. I don't think we're gonna get any luckier. If you wanna see interviews with the players, you can switch to the German feed. Click on the German flag. They might also know who won, and I'm sure some of the players are gonna show up there to talk you through the tournament. Bottom line, we have some guys who are gonna be very happy with their tournament. All of the first three, even though Kramnik, I'm sure he would have loved to win this thing because he's not playing the candidates. Nakamura, Anna had a great tournament, and the bottom three, Giri, Aronia, and Shirov, will not be too excited about their performance. Sounds like it's official. I don't know. Half the chat is saying Anand won, half the chat is saying Nakamura won. So we're gonna need an arbiter to divide the chat.
I'm trying to get the website again, but I can't even make it work. Yeah, so the website only says final standings will be updated soon after the final round. That hasn't happened yet.
Tarje is now saying that he means we should have an integrated calculator on the website that calculates Sonneborn-Berger. I don't think that's what you said first, Tarje. I did read it carefully, and you never know, is Sonneborn-Berger the first tiebreaker, or is it number of games? But on the Zurich side, it says that Nakamura has 22.75 and Anand 21.75, the higher Sonneborn-Berger. I'm not sure how much we can trust it, but I think we're gonna leave it at that. Congratulations to probably the winner Nakamura, but in my mind, all these Sonneborn-Bergers, whatever, in a close tournament doesn't make sense. If we play the same opponents, they had the same score, and to me, they are the co-winners. But it looks like...
Also, Vichy might be kicking himself for that game against Nakamura, where he probably had some good winning chances.
Yeah, that was a strange decision by Vichy.
Anyway, great performance by both those players. I was only here today, but still an interesting tournament to follow. It will be interesting to see what happens to that time control, what the players have made of it, what the sponsors have made of it, what the organizer has made of it, whether we will see more of this time control in the future. So yeah.
Yeah, in the chat there's some speculation if they're trying to decide that there should be an Armageddon.
Yeah.
But I don't think they want to have the same discussion they had last year, where there was also exactly the same situation. This really Groundhog Day kind of thing, where Nakamura and Arnold are tied and everyone's confused about the tie-break situation, trying to figure it out and trying to figure out the rules and regulations.
Let me check the Zurich Twitter feed.
Sure.
Nothing. Because more and more people are saying there will be an Armageddon. Organizers just announced an Armageddon starting at 8. Maybe we should listen to the German feed.
That would help. They're on site. We're far away in Hamburg. So it does look like they decided once again, I don't know if it was planned all along, but that there will be an Armageddon. Is that the official Twitter?
No. That was it. There is nothing on Twitter.
No, you can't trust people.
But a lot of people are saying an Armageddon at 8.
I trust Lazy Chicken. Lazy Chicken is saying it. Anyway, we're gonna say goodbye for now. If there is an Armageddon, we're gonna be back. Thank you guys so much for watching the show. Congratulations to Hikaru Nakamura and Vishy Anand.
Wait 1 second. I just had a message from Leonard, who we haven't been able to trust in the past. But Leonard is saying me that they said on the German feed that there will be an Armageddon game.
Okay, then we're gonna come back for that. That means no winner yet. Congratulations to the two co-leaders, Vishy Anand and Hikaru Nakamura. We're gonna be back with more, should there be more. Thanks for watching. Bye.
See you soon.
Hey guys, we're still trying to figure out what's going to happen in Zurich. The status quo is that Nakamura does have the best tiebreaker, therefore he would win the tournament based on the Sonneborn-Berger. Apparently when Nakamura was being interviewed in the German feed, the sponsor of the event, Oleg Skvortsov, asked him if he was ready to play an Armageddon game against Vishy Anand to determine the winner. Nakamura said yes, but I think the tweets that have been sent out by Vishy Anand are his way, as you mentioned, of saying that, yeah, he's fine with the tournament and he doesn't feel the need to play an Armageddon. That's the latest we got. I'm sure they're still talking behind the scenes, but we have to operate under the assumption that you can see they're even switching the camera off, that there won't be an Armageddon. So congratulations to the winners, Hikaru Nakamura and Vishy Anand. We'll, of course, follow the situation closely, but for now, there's not much more we can tell you. Thank you guys for watching Zurich. Fiona, what do you think? What's going to happen?
Yeah, I think organizers all over the world need to learn a lesson from this. There was a big mess up in London. There was a mess up in Zurich last year, and it's very strange that this sort of confusion would arise. I mean, we don't know here. We're in Hamburg, but apparently even in the German feed, the commentators didn't know what was going on, and they're in Zurich at the tournament location. So I think it's just very confusing. We got some messages earlier, I forgot his name, who said we should get our act together and know the regulations better, but it's difficult for us to know the regulations when things are so confusing. So I think there needs to be a clearer way. People need to understand once the last round is over who has actually won the tournament. And if they announce Sonnenborn-Berger, then they need to stick with that. They can't announce Sonnenborn-Berger and then just ask a guy who's just won the tournament, do you want to play some Armageddon? I think that's just a bit out of order.
Yeah, I don't know, like in general.
I mean, it just makes it would be fun, but it just makes it look like a friendly Dorfturnier or something. You can't just have a tournament winner and then ask this guy, do you want to play another game? Unless you just want to be a fun, friendly tournament.
No, yeah, I think that's what happened last year, and maybe that is the spirit of the tournament. Last year, Vishy would have won on tiebreakers, which were the published rules, but then there were a lot of discussions after the last round, and Vishy agreed, probably not too happily, to play an Armageddon match this year. I think he's behind on tiebreakers, so maybe Skvortsov thought this was the way to sort of return the favor if he still gets an Armageddon match. But yeah, honestly, no one really knows, and to my mind, it doesn't matter all that much. It was a friendly event, it was a very nice event. Anand and Nakamura scored the same number of points.
And we also have Macaulay in the chat saying, Macaulay, who was in Zurich at the start of the tournament, who said the organizers had decided before the round there wasn't going to be an Armageddon this year, no matter, I mean, unless all the other tiebreakers were equal, same Sonnenborn, same number of wins, which is very, very unlikely. So it's possible that Oleg Skvortsov, the tournament sponsor and organizer, it's possible that he was just joking. It's it's hard for us to say because we haven't seen the German feed. But yeah, sorry for all the confusion and hopefully no more of this in the future.
I don't know. Looks like the event is over. Congratulations to the winner, Hikaru Nakamura. Thank you guys for watching. Very sorry if you were looking forward to an Armageddon, but it was never really in the cards. It wasn't in the rules, and I do not think we're gonna see one. See you guys during the next event. Of course, there's gonna be the usual shows on Chess24. I got my big match against John Bartholomew this Thursday. I'm sure we're gonna throw in a Banter Blitz before that. Go premium on Chess24 if you want to participate in all the action.
Advertisement too. I'm gonna play some Banter Blitz on Friday with a special guest as Niels Gwendelius from Sweden. Sweden's #1 is going to be in Hamburg. He's a good friend of mine, and we will play some Banter Blitz together on Friday afternoon or evening. We will announce a time very soon, probably tomorrow. So it would be good to have some of you here for that.
See you soon. Bye bye.
Bye.